Yes, we are back for more Stardew Valley 1.6, and of course it's just as crazy as the first video. Oh my god, what's happening? Why are all the torches lighting up? Okay, why is this fish so damn hard to catch? Someone please help me, I broke one of my goats. If you haven't seen the first part of this series, then make sure you go and watch that first. No, go on. I'll wait. But if you have and you are enjoying this series, then be sure to leave a like and to subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. But without further ado, let's get right back into the action. The adventure continues exactly where we left off last time, freezing my little tootsies off in the cold valley winter. Today was about getting back into the swing of things, like saying good morning to my two adorable pets, Lola, my dog, and Midnight, my cat, and making sure my coop and barn animals were thriving despite the chilly atmosphere outside. One thing I will be doing this time around is giving out birthday gifts. Apologies to the villagers of Pelican Town, but I was very profit orientated then. Alas, I needed everyone to max friendship for perfection, so what better time to start than right now? As the afternoon rolled around, I fixed up that tree stump I had forgotten about last time with some hardwood, and talk about craftsmanship. We have a brand new home for some loving critters to occupy. While we wait for someone to secure a down payment, I popped to the beach for the final night of the night market. When I got there, I looked for a garlic seed, but quickly realized I had missed it a couple of days ago. Never to mind though, I've already moved on to the next day, so I can't dwell on how foolish I am. It seems a lone raccoon has found his way to the newly renovated tree stump. He gave me the task of finding him 5 clams and a smoked red mullet. I found myself in town soon after, where I dug up a rusty spoon, and since I was right there, I thought I might as well donate it to the museum. As I passed the special quest board, I picked up Gus's famous omelette quest. I was on my way to the beach to do some foraging, and to purchase the fish smoker recipe from Willie. I'm very excited to try this new machine added in the update. All in good time, however, I may be entering my friend's era, but I'm still caught up in my profits era. So much so that I'm turning my Ginger Island farm into a profit metropolis that starts with a whole bunch of iridium sprinklers. And I think we may be onto something here, people. Speaking of profits, waiting for me outside this morning was another round of pumpkin juice. Although I'm sad to say that this was our last full batch, as we were now down to our final pumpkins. But that's okay, because I was gearing up for the island farm to take over all the hard work. It's me though, so I had to make it look nice with a border of rustic plank flooring. I mean, what's the point of all of this if it doesn't look good, am I right? Before taking off, I used a few golden walnuts to unlock the mailbox by the island farmhouse, and spent the rest of the day diving through the volcano dungeon. I was here to gather anything I could get my hands on, things like dragon teeth, extra golden walnuts, and cinder shards, amongst other things. After a successful dungeon dive last night, it was already day 104. I don't think I mentioned this last video, but when your pets reach max hearts, they now have a chance to drop gifts for you. Aww. Isn't that just the cutest thing ever? Thank you for my gift, Midnight. Funnily enough, I was waiting outside Clint's this morning to get a tool upgrade, then realized I forgot to bring the 5 gold bars, an exact repeat of what I did in the first video. Time moves on, and well, you think I'd get smarter. Sometimes we all wish for things that will never happen. But hey, my pickaxe is getting an upgrade, and that's all that matters. Afterwards, I took a bus trip out to the desert. I paid Sandy a visit to splash a third of my pumpkin juice earnings on purchasing a whopping 288 starfruit seeds. It was no surprise that I then spent the rest of the day getting them all planted down on the island farm. You'll notice I left one sprinkler without crops. That's a just in case of an emergency sprinkler. I like to future-proof myself, for obvious reasons. However, by the end of the day, I had a full crop of starfruit growing. My one regret is I didn't have any time to give Granny Evelyn her birthday gift, and I feel terrible. I'll have to make up for it another day because we're moving onwards and upwards. I popped by the travelling cart this morning just for funsies, and I happened to see that she was selling a Junimo catalogue. The decorator inside of me was fighting very hard to overpower my common sense. It was 70,000 gold, and I was tossing up this decision for a while. Safe to say I caved. The decorator inside me won, and I got the Junimo catalogue. I wasn't done spending though. Up at Robin's, I commissioned a stable to be built on my farm. Probably a bit more practical than a catalogue, but I digress. The time remaining in the day was spent cave fishing actually. For a couple of reasons. I had to tick off catching a few new fish for the fishing collection from the various floors, including the elusive lava eel, and I wanted to get cave jelly. You may have noticed last time that I had sea jelly and river jelly from all the fishing I did. Well, cave jelly is the third type of jelly that you can fish up. I just needed to make those fish smokers. Before I could make them, I had some powder melons to harvest this morning, not to mention a field full of winter forage thanks to my winter seeds. With the change of seasons soon approaching, I decided to cover all my fields in winter seed. I ran my powder melons through my seed makers and I made the 2 fish smokers. In the meantime, I popped into town to donate a couple of artifacts I had come across, to pick up my shiny new pickaxe, and I accepted the Wizard's Prismatic Jelly special quest from the board. Down on the beach, I was foraging around the tide pools and got the final foraging level. Then I rounded the day off smoking the fish I caught yesterday and turning the rest of my powder melons into seeds for the next winter. I got 12 grand for those fish, by the way. I smell potential. Who was at my door the following morning but none other than my main man Gunther. He was here to tell me we were getting awarded for our efforts in preservation at the museum. And what's my reward? A rusty key. This will give us access to the sewers finally, so I guess it's not too bad. Also, I now have a horse! Robin finished the stable and I named my noble steed Cookie. I was very excited, as you can see. After dumping the final lot of pumpkin juice into the shipping bin, Cookie and I took off into town. I handed over my axe to Clint for an upgrade. Then I fished up a red mullet from the ocean shortly after, which I smoked in one of my fish smokers. With that and 5 clams, I finished the first raccoon quest, and in return I got 25 carrot seeds. Back in town, I used the rusty key to gain access to the sewers. Krobus, the shadowy figure from the last video, opened up the mutant bug lair for me to venture through. This was so I could collect the dark talisman at the end of it. The talisman I used to access the witch's swamp. A henchman stood in the way between me and the wizard's magical ink, but luckily I had prepared some void mayo earlier and he left without a fuss. The magic ink was now in my possession, and the wizard was very grateful to have it back. As a reward, I got access to the Book of Summoning. This is where I can blow millions of gold on golden clocks, obelisks, and Junimo huts, if I so feel like it. And to top it all off, today was Leah's birthday, so I gave her some goat cheese. On the other hand, day 108 was a lot less hectic. It was spent down in the mines searching for a certain color-changing slime. The only other things to note were the new mine levels. I'm actually quite happy we got new mine layouts. Look how cool they are. And a gold slime that gives you a little bit of gold when you slay it. The 25th of winter can only mean one thing. It's the Feast of the Winter Star Festival. Everyone was looking so cozy in their winter outfits, the food smelled delicious, and it was time to give out some presents. Penny was my person this year, so I gave her an emerald, which she was very pleased with. Pierre had me, and bear in mind, this man has made tens of thousands of gold from me over the past year, and he has the audacity to give me a pink cake. If Pierre has no haters, then I'm dead. Oh my god. That's so mean. I had the idea to feed Cookie one of my carrots, and I was stoked that it actually worked. It's the little things that make life joyous. I had some business to conduct at Clint's this morning, so imagine my displeasure when I saw him run away from his own shop to go stare at a furnace in the community center for the day. You'll be getting a 1 out of 5 star review on Yelp from me, Clint, and best believe it's gonna be super passive aggressive. It was his birthday though, so maybe I'll write that review tomorrow. I took all my frustration out in the mines, searching once again for Magnus's prismatic slime. Unfortunately, I didn't find it. With Clint back on the till today, I was able to finally pick up my new axe before heading back down to the mines to continue the hunt. It took most of the day to run into it, but in the late afternoon, on a random dungeon floor, I found it. And it didn't see the light of day for long. Cookie and I went for a nighttime ride down to the Wizard's Tower. Prismatic jelly in hand, I gave it over to him. Then I circled into town to drop off Gus's eggs that he had requested for his omelette, and with that I knocked 2 birds with 1 stone and ticked off 2 special quests. I can't believe it, but somehow we're at the end of another season. In my mailbox sat a letter from Magnus with the recipe for Monster Musk, and Gus somehow managed to fit a whole mini fridge in there. My 2 rewards for completing those special quests. My morning was taken up chopping trees down for wood so that I could go and commission a shed from Robin, my first of 2 sheds that will hold all of my kegs. While I was there, I thought I might as well stock up on wood before the price increases too, which I will not regret. I'm not being sarcastic about that either, it was genuinely a good idea. Back on the farm, I popped down 3 stone chests. These will hold all of my seasonal crops that I'll grow in my 2nd year in the valley. Cookie and I did laps of the farm as I planned out the future of the Meadowlands farm, and I watched the snow fall on the final night of year 1. The ice had melted away. I'm not being blinded by pure white snow. It must be spring again. A new villager by the name of Kent came to visit the farm this morning, just popping by to say hi and that he'd be here to stay. So that was nice. While I waited for Piers to open this morning, I went around scything away the dead crops from winter, and I cleaned up the farm from the loose debris that had spawned overnight. This year I'll be growing every crop there is, hence why I was setting up the 3 chests yesterday. Considering I need every crop for the shipping collection and a lot for the cooking collection, I find year 2 is a good time to grow them all and store them away for later. With that taken care of, I decided a productive use of time would be spent smelting ores, so that's what I did. I woke up the next morning to a brand spanking new shed, and what I can only describe as a slap in the face. A nautilus shell produced by my oysters. You're about a season too late. It's the thought that counts, I guess. I took off to the Fern Islands afterwards, and I'm glad I did, because the weeds on the island farm had gotten a little too close for comfort. Luckily, I was able to fix it up without any crop casualties, and I planted down a melon, a garlic, and some wheat. 3 crops I need to grow for the Gourmand Frog quest. I still had to wait a few days for the starfruit to be ready, so in the meantime I headed back to the valley, where I picked up my 2 prize tickets waiting for me by the special quest board. The prize machine gave me a pomegranate sapling and a new book called Friendship 101, which makes it a little easier to become friends with villagers. I picked a new special quest to sink my teeth into, Caroline's Island Ingredients quest, which tasked me to grow and ship 100 taro roots. Back on the island for the 2nd time, I planted down all the taro tubers I had collected thus far to make a start. Hey look, it's me, doing donuts on Cookie. I was here at Robin's because I wanted to give my animals some more room. Plus, my shed is fine, but it'd be better with an upgrade. That's right, my animals were getting a little bit squashed in that small corner of the farm, and I wanted to give them a bit more space to roam around in. After rejigging the fence line a bit and adding some torches around the place, I was pretty happy with how it turned out. Ooh, scary. I was met with rain on day 116. Did I move my animal chest all the way across the farm with my axe? Yes, I did. Did I know that if you do it with a pickaxe, it wouldn't destroy the pathing? No. No, I did not. But hey, it worked. After handing over a birthday gift to Kent, I paid a visit to our raccoon friend, who has a wife now. She runs a shop that currently sells the 4 new crops. I think it'll upgrade with every request I complete. The next one required me to get strawberry jelly and dried cactus fruits, but that would have to wait because I was on a mission. I get up at Willie's grabbing the essentials, made my way up to the mountain lake, and buckled in for one hell of a ride. I wanted to catch the first legendary fish. The legend. The hardest legendary fish to catch. Yeah, it took me like 13 seconds. I genuinely think that may be the most painless legend catch in the history of Stardew Valley. I took it down to the community center and added it to the fish tank. I was not expecting to have this much time left in the day, so I filled it with buying a few extra carrot seeds from the raccoons for some maple seeds and getting a good night's sleep. The following day began harvesting garlic and replacing it with those carrot seeds, then harvesting parsnips which I replaced with some rhubarb seeds. Afterwards I used the wood I bought last season along with the bars of copper and iron I had smelted to craft a bunch more kegs. I had just enough to completely fill the first shed and one left over for outside. Up at Robin's I moved the silo from its old spot across to the new animal area and I popped across to Ginger Island because all of my star fruit was finally ready for harvest. After picking it all, I had to race back to the valley where I sold all the gold quality fruit to Pierre, so that when I bust into the desert, I had enough gold to purchase another round of seeds. With the help of Cookie, I made it back to the boat in time, so that I could make my way to the island to plant down another round. With the stressful stuff out of the way, I was able to mooch back home and make use of my keg shed, dumping the leftover fruit into the kegs. I say, what a delightful sight of ensuing profit. For the next couple of days, I grinded down in the Skull Caverns. No, I wasn't here for the resources. In fact, I was here for combat XP. It's the last skill I need to get to level 10, and I thought the monsters down here would give me the most XP for slaying them. Although I should mention that I swapped out my potatoes with blue jazz seeds, and I gave Lewis a cactus fruit for his birthday. But I was grinding nonetheless. It took all 2 days to fill that XP, but after 2 days in the caverns, I finally got the level up that I needed, and I think I just became a master of the 5 ways. That door in the Cindersap forest that once lay a mystery so many seasons ago was now ours to open. Inside, I found a wall of mastery. A note from Grandpa told me about the tips, recipes, and tools that lay in the secret room. Mining, fishing, farming, foraging, and combat. The 5 mastery paths to unlock. I'll explain each path as I unlock them. Saves me a lot of time trying to explain it now. But essentially, all XP gained from each skill is now combined into one progress bar. For each level, you need to reach a certain amount of XP. 10,000 for the first level, 15,000 for the second, 20,000 for the third, 25 for the fourth, and 30 for the final level, totaling a staggering 100,000 XP for all 5. This is all very exciting, but unfortunately I still had regular things to do, such as getting a barn upgrade commissioned from Robin and fishing for cave jelly. I wanted to craft more fish smokers, but in the 10 real life minutes that I fished today, I got one cave jelly. A singular cave jelly. Seriously, just one cave jelly. I found myself back on the island farm the next day. I was here to check on my crops for the Gourmand frog, but my taro roots were ready to be harvested, so that was a nice little bonus. Afterwards I chopped trees down back in the valley, since the stockpile on the farm was looking a bit sparse, and the rest of the night was spent turning the taro roots back into taro tuber. I have to admit, today is an exciting day. Is it because it's Vincent's birthday? No, not quite. Is it because I'm spending time at the dig site on Ginger Island? Why, yes it is. The continuation of season 4 of your favorite segment of all time is back. It's time for Panning with Poxio! I am in love with the changes made to panning in this update. I think it's actually worth panning for once. Like, look at this cool gold shirt I got. So many goodies and resources, but most importantly, and the ring that rises above all the others, the lucky ring. That's right, a single lucky ring shone through, and we can add number 2 to our collection. Good God, there is just nothing like the rush of panning up a lucky ring. I decided to hang around the island because I had some taro tuber to plant, and I didn't fancy interrupting our sacred panning with Poxil with some menial task. I managed to trade more taro tuber with the island trader for bone fragments, so I have more than enough planted down to meet the special quest quota. Before I left, I showed the Gourmand frog the melon, garlic, and wheat growing on the farm, and for all 3 I managed to secure 15 golden walnuts. I put the first gem on the gem puzzle podiums, and finally I unlocked the beach resort with the golden walnuts. Having made it back home, I went around dealing with a few chores I had missed out on over the last couple of days before calling it a night. The rain continued through to day 124, but I didn't mind because I had a shed full of starfruit wine. My coop needed a bit of cleaning, clearly, so I sorted that out before working on Birdie's quest. If you take the War Memento to Kent, the Gourmet Tomato Salt to Gus, the Stardew Valley Rose to Sandy, the Universal Remote to George, the Arctic Shard to Magnus, and finally the Wrigley Worm to Willy, you'll get the Pirate Locket. I took the locket all the way back to Birdie, who was very thankful for us finding it. In return, I got taught how to make fairy dust and a few golden walnuts to go with it. I kept the golden walnut collecting going by finding a couple in Shelly Stones on the beach, a couple just outside the Pirate Cove, unlocked from building the resort, and a few inside the Pirate Cove, which included me destroying this guy at a few games of darts. I got out of there before he made me walk the plank, or worse, make me illegally download a movie from the early 2000s. It was Egg Festival Day today. However, before I could attend, I had to take care of a few odd jobs on the farm. That did include harvesting crops and flowers and filling the greenhouse with iridium sprinklers. But it was time to show my face in town as the reigning egg hunt champion. First and foremost, I got myself a bunch of strawberry seeds from Pierre's stall. Then it was time to start the hunt. Did I know the eggs would be placed differently this time? No. I did not, and that really threw me off my game. I thought this flower was an egg, it definitely was not, and I managed to get 8 eggs total, which is totally enough to win, right? Right? Now, there's a lot of words that I would like to use to articulate how I'm feeling right now. However, at the risk of demonetizing my channel, I will refrain from doing so. Instead, I'll just plant down my strawberries like the good little farmer that I am. I hate Abigail. I was a happy chap on day 126, I had some blue jazz flowers to pick, and I commissioned another shed to the farm for future kegs. Today was actually Hayley's birthday, and I was intrigued to see what it would be like to give her an iridium quality gift, along with that Stardrop tea I got a while ago. So I handed them both over as she came out of her room, and holy crap, I think I love Stardrop teas now. I was passing by the bus stop shortly after and I saw a written sign from Pam. I thought I'd write a little message back to her when she picks it up later. A while later, I found myself down at the beach helping Hayley find her grandma's necklace. I then purchased a Stardrop from Krobus. I'm a little embarrassed to say it took me a while to remember he sold one of these. Afterwards, I tried to fish up at the mountain lake, accompanied by my fish smokers. However, I forgot they needed coal, so I went back home to get coal, and then by the time I got back, it was already dark, so I just gave up. I didn't mind because for the next couple of days I got to indulge in a brand new desert festival. For a few days the desert hosts all sorts of stores, activities and challenges, and I was super excited to check it all out. There's a chef here who will prepare a made to order meal for you. There's a race between competitors that you can bet on as they race around a track. Just don't bet on the snail. Just trust me, don't do it. Willy has a fishing challenge. Marlon and Gil are here to give out Skull Cavern challenges. I even found Pierre sniffing Hayley. Wait, what? Hold on, wait, what? Keep that up, mister, and I'm telling Caroline. Emily has an outfit exchange. Don't worry, I get to keep my old look. But gosh, don't I look snazzy? You can also get a free cactus. All of these games and challenges give you Calico Eggs. Calico Eggs are the prize tokens that you can exchange for prizes at the various shops during the festival. After bidding on a few more races and losing all of them, I used my Calico Eggs to purchase some mystery boxes. I didn't fancy anything else on sale, but now that I know how it all worked, I'll definitely be back next year for more. I took Cookie on a stroll around the valley the following day, picking salmon berries around the Cindersap forest. We were having a jolly old time, and it got even better when we found a pot of gold by the waterfall. Soon after, I popped around to Hayley's place to help her open a jar and to ask her to be my girlfriend. Thank the heavens she said yes. Being rejected from Hayley would have sent me down a very dark rabbit hole. I then circled up to Robbins to commission a big shed upgrade, and I got comfy at the mountain lake fishing and smelling the waft of freshly smoked fish. I wanted to test the smokers out in a normal situation just to see how that affected the paycheck at the end of the day. And look, 16 grand from one day of fishing is actually not too shabby. I have a leprechaun hat. I didn't even realize I had it until last night, so there you go. Anyway, my morning today was filled up with picking rhubarb from my crop fields, taking some wonderful and maybe not so wonderful photos with Haley on Marnie's ranch, and handing over a cactus fruit to Pam for her birthday. And all of this was followed by starfruit picking, starfruit replanting, and taro root harvesting over on Ginger Island. What's very exciting is during all of this I managed to get my first mastery level. But before I could get ahead of myself, I dumped enough taro root into the shipping bin to complete Caroline's quest, and I had to keg all of the starfruit in my keg shed back home. The leftovers I just shoved into the shipping bin. I found my special quest reward in the mailbox this morning. Oh, no, that's just a cheese cauliflower recipe from Pam. Okay, here it is. No, that's just a cute letter from Haley. Okay, this time, no, that's from Robin with some wood. Ah, here we go. A solar panel crafting recipe. Now, I had a choice to make. What skill was I going to invest my first mastery level in? I weighed up the options and after much thought, decided to pick the farming tree first. Having claimed mastery of farming, I got the iridium scythe, which can be used to harvest crops, no more picking them like a peasant farmer. The statue of blessings crafting recipe, which will give me a random blessing each day, and the ability to find animal crackers, which will permanently double a farm animal's produce. Pigs are excluded from this perk, however. My first mastery skill was now under my belt and that felt good. Afterwards I rode Cookie into town where I got another prize from the prize machine, and remembered Clint hates me because he doesn't work on a Friday. I then popped by Marnie's to get 2 new animals, Pixie the pig and Grant the sheep. You'll also notice that you can buy an animal catalogue, so if Marnie isn't around, then I can still purchase animals and supplies. Someone get Clint that same damn book before I bloody throw one at him. Not to mention I got auto collectors that I placed in both the coop and the barn. Not a lot happened throughout the afternoon, however I did smelt ores to finish the day off. And that carried on to day 132. Basically, I just spent the morning prepping myself to make a lot of kegs. Unfortunately, I was lacking on oak resin out of all things, but that's okay. I got a good section of the shed filled. And when I eventually get more oak resin, I can add more slowly but surely. I paid a visit to the saloon later that evening to give Shane a little birthday gift, and in the dead of night, chopped stumps in the secret woods. I was lacking on hardwood, critical levels if you will, so just before bed I made use of the old animal area and planted a few rows of mahogany seeds, sprinkled with a bit of tree fertilizer and we'll be good on hardwood in no time. I used the Harvest with Scythe mod in the Mega Modded series, but having it in the base game now is just mwah, I love it. I spent the day over on Ginger Island. I saw I was pretty close to Key's 100 golden walnut goal, so I decided a dive through the volcano dungeon would be a good use of my time. To find golden walnuts of course, but any other goodies that I came across wouldn't go amiss, that's for sure. Plus I managed to tick off another monster slayer goal while I was in there. What a relief it was to see Clint running his business this morning. I could finally pick up my gold hoe and swap it out for a gold watering can upgrade. I spent a lot of time today working out an upgraded crop field. Sure, the quality sprinklers are fine, but I'm a farmer of wealth now, and I need to show that wealth with iridium sprinklers. Yes, I do have strawberries in the greenhouse. Believe it or not, my YouTuber luck ran out when it came to ancient seeds, so this is my backup idea. I popped by the dwarf in the mines shortly after so that I could get some bombs, and as an added bonus I got a book that makes bombs deal 25% less damage. To myself, that is. Because that's right, I'm spending the day in the Skull Caverns. My one and only goal today was to gather as much iridium as I could. I'm running low and I need more to upgrade the second crop field with iridium sprinklers. And so it was down here in the caverns where I gathered that iridium. On a mediocre luck day, I managed to get 94 iridium ore, which is actually a pretty good effort if you ask me. With strawberries under my belt now, I made sure to dump one into a preserve jar and some cactus fruit into the hydrator for the raccoon quest, before heading off to the flower dance. Yeah, I decided to go this time around. I made sure to purchase a couple of important things from Pierre's stall, and I know I said all this festival brings is rejection, but I have a girlfriend now, so there's no rejection for me. Take that, Alex, you little punk. The morning of day 137 consisted of placing a few more kegs down in my keg shed, collecting and shipping off a batch of starfruit wine that was done fermenting, harvesting a field full of strawberries with my iridium scythe, picking up my gold watering can from Clint, and making a start on crop field upgrade number 2. I ended up going with this sort of Z pattern beside the pond because it's probably the biggest area that I can cultivate on. In the corners I placed down brick paths to outline where future Junimo huts will go, and I outlined it all with rustic planks like I did with the other one. I have to say, I'm actually really happy with how seamless this turned out. For a layout that limits places to grow crops, I think it looks pretty cool. And to top it all off, just get a load of that paycheck. Majority of this morning was used up prepping my new crop fields. I got a bunch of parsnip seeds from Pierre's so that in a few days, when the seasons change over, I'll just have to scythe the dead crops away, instead of having the monotonous task of hoeing and watering everything. And parsnip seeds are pretty cheap anyway, so I didn't mind. I almost forgot to mention I gave Pierre a birthday gift. Forgive me if I'm still a little bit upset about that pink cake present. Not a lot went down that afternoon, I just spent some quality time with Cookie. But later that evening I waited for my strawberry jelly to be ready so that I could hand it over to my raccoon neighbours. My reward was the Raccoon Journal book. Reading it meant weeds now have a greater chance to yield mixed seeds. The next day began outside Haley's house. I wanted to give her a coconut because she deserves it. And I wanted to get her to 10 hearts. It was also Emily's birthday, so I thought I'd hang around to give her some wool. I popped by Robin's afterwards to move the keg sheds. I think they were in the way a bit, and I like the new spot below the animal area much better. Of course, I could not leave it unpathed, so I took some time to extend the main path and add a cute little stone path to both of the sheds. Someone tell me, where does time go? The last day of spring is already here, but we still had some things to do. Things like finishing off the gem puzzle on Ginger Island for a few of those precious golden walnuts. Using those walnuts, I got the warp obelisk back to the valley, and I got a warp totem to the island. A nice little touch. Having over 100 of them meant I was able to pass through into Key's Walnut Room. In here is a quest board, a machine to trade key gems for rare and powerful rewards, and a perfection tracker. I'd like to not touch on the perfection tracker quite yet, because I've got quite a bit of work to do. Alas, back home I took care of another strawberry harvest in the greenhouse, which ended up giving me another mastery level. So I was right off to the mastery cave, where I claimed fishing as my second mastery skill, giving me the advanced iridium rod, which lets me use 2 bobbers at once, the recipe for challenge bait, and now I can encounter golden fishing chests, which will hold rarer items if caught. All very exciting stuff. And as the final day of spring was wrapping up, I quickly popped into Clint's to get an iridium upgrade for my pan. Of course, the pan takes full priority. And I watched the last glimpses of the spring sun fall below the horizon on top of Cookie. Get your sunscreen ready, folks, because we're getting back into summer. Considering how spring started, I'm sure you can imagine how the first day of summer went. It was pretty much a carbon copy, getting rid of old crops, cleaning up the farm, purchasing all the seeds, and planting them back down on the farm. The only difference is I did get a very ominous message in my mailbox about meeting someone called Fizz on Ginger Island. With everything planted and not much else to do, I thought I'd better go and check it out. Turns out Fizz is a Joja associate under the guise of specialty service. This guy offers papers that grants 1% towards perfection, and for each paper, it's 500,000 gold per pop. I don't know, man. I don't think I trust that face. Cookie and I started the following day waiting outside of Clint's. I actually didn't mind, because just look at that beautiful shiny iridium pan. Yesterday I managed to pick up another special quest, this time from Willy. It was to catch 5 of each Ginger Island fish, and I was happy to reserve the day for such a task. I caught 5 lionfish in the ocean, I caught 5 blue discus in the river, and I caught 5 stingrays in the pirate cove. Too easy, done and dusted, another quest ticked off the list. The prize machine gave me a cute sports hat, if you wanted to know. And as nighttime rolled around, I thought I might as well smoke the fish I caught today. I certainly won't be picky about a bit of extra profit. I have to admit, most of day 143 was lost to dealing with another starfruit harvest, but hearing the sound of kegging is just like money to my ears. However, not all of it was lost. I still had time to construct 3 separate Junimo huts, 1 for the top crop field and 2 for the second crop field. And that night I swapped out my magnet and glow ring for the iridium band, a ring that gives a glowing effect, a magnetic effect, and an attack damage boost all in one. And a lucky ring to go with it didn't sound too bad either. Before tackling the mines today, I had a couple of things to check off, those being Jazz's birthday, I gave her a rabbit's foot, and spending time at the forge at the volcano caldera, combining my iridium band with a lucky ring and infusing 3 rubies into my galaxy sword for increased overall damage. I went to the mines afterwards with the intention of slaying slimes and dust sprites towards their respective monster slayer goals. I just really wanted the burglar's ring and the slime charmer ring. I will say though, in the middle of all this monster slaying, I happened upon my first animal cracker, and I ticked off another monster slayer goal. I think for the bats. It's hard to tell, but I don't think it was for the dust sprites. To begin the next day, I said good morning to my animals, as I have been doing for most days. Please don't be concerned, I promise they're well looked after. I harvested some wheat and swapped it out for another round of wheat seeds. I got a copper upgrade on my trash can of all things. Yes, it is Friday, but it's raining, so Clint decided to stay in today. Thank God. I don't know what I would have done, but it wouldn't have been pretty. All but one mahogany tree had grown above the farmhouse, so I thought I might as well chop it all down. I needed some of that hardwood to get an upgrade on my house, and that's exactly what I commissioned from Robin soon after. Another round of strawberries from my greenhouse were harvested right after that. I added the final 2 big chests to the hub area, and to finish off a busy day, I thought I might as well buy a mermaid pendant, and I proposed to Haley, very romantically in the pouring rain. And she said yes. It only took 19 days to go from 0 hearts to getting married. But hey, what can I say, I'm quite the charmer. To keep the celebrations going, I decided to spend today at the dig site for another episode of your favorite segment of all time, Panning with Poxio! And what a way to keep this party train chugging along by panning up lucky ring number 3. I'm just kidding. I got 2, baby. This one's for you, Haley. That's right, that brings our total to 4 lucky rings for season 4. And God, I am loving it. The energy kept rolling on to day 147. I reserved it for another dive down into the skull caverns, since it'd be rude of me not to waste a very good luck day. So down the caverns I went, slaying slimes towards the monster slayer goal, carpet bombing lower floors for lots of iridium, copper, iron and gold, and drinking iridium snake milk? That's right, apparently Key had been waiting for me on floor 100 to see if I made it all in one piece. I did, and I got a permanent increase to my health. After a very successful day in the caverns yesterday, it was nice to change it up today with a wedding. Haley and I got married in the middle of the town square. What a lovely day to celebrate love. It'll be nice to have some company on the farm actually. As a freshly acquired husband, I got to work planting more seeds on the farm, including some summer squash seeds. I then popped by the saloon to hand Gus a rabbit's foot for his birthday. I watched a bird find out what happens when you fly headfirst into a window. Over at Clint's, I picked up my copper trash can, and afterwards I parked up on the tide pool's pier to try my luck catching another legendary fish. Before I could though, I got my first golden fishing chest, which was quite exciting. I did eventually catch the legendary crimson fish, but I wanted more. The sewers also held a legendary fish, the mutant carp, which actually wasn't too hard of a catch. But I wanted more. The waterfalls down in the Cindersap forest hold a brand new fish. It's called a gobby. And it took me a while to reel one in, but I wanted more. In the Buglair, I caught a slime jack. It's not as cool as the others, but I need it for the fishing collection. But I wanted more. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm actually done now. Gus paid the farm a visit the following morning. He was here to drop off a mini jukebox, and some blueprints to craft more if I so wished to. It seemed like I actually did want more, because I ended up catching a void salmon in the witch's swamp. That was the last one. I think I've done my dash fishing. That being said, I did pop by the community centre to hand over the latest 2 legendary fish I had caught to the fish tank. Then for the rest of the day, I popped a monster musk and went to town slaying monsters in the mines. It didn't take long for me to achieve the Dust Sprite Monster Slayer goal, so I thought I might as well keep it going on the higher levels. Day 150 marks the halfway point, but like last time, there's no time for celebration. There is time for being productive though. Being Maru's birthday, I met her down the hallway in her house and gave her a strawberry. And back on the farm, I planted down seeds in place of the crops that were harvested by my Junimos. I guess I could celebrate with a bottle of starfruit wine, but I do need every bottle sold for maximum profits. And I guess slaying slimes is pretty satisfying. Oh well. A paycheck like that is celebration enough for me. Haley made me a fried egg this morning. Aw, isn't that just the sweetest? It seems I had acquired another mastery level over the last few days, and it was time to make another decision. This time, I decided to claim foraging mastery. This gives the mystic tree seed recipe, a new special type of tree, the treasure totem recipe, which when used summons a ring of treasure spots on the ground, and the ability to find golden mystery boxes, which will give rarer items when opened. Now that I had 3 mastery levels down, it was time to join the community down at the beach for the annual luau. I had bought an iridium quality truffle to add to the potluck soup, and when the governor got a taste of that delicious soup, I actually popped a new achievement with the update called an unforgettable soup. Our favourite bookseller, Marcelo, and the big old balloon was back in town the next day. With a lot more disposable income under my belt, I was happy to purchase some books today. So I got The Way of the Wind Part 1, Horse, the book, Old Slitherlegs, and The Queen of Sauce cookbook. These books gave me the ability to run faster, move quicker on horseback, run quicker through crops and grass, and gave me the remaining Queen of Sauce recipes, respectively. I can only imagine Marcelo is thinking, thank God this guy finally bought something. Soon afterwards, I handed over a rabbit's foot to a Joja truck driver. This is hinted at in one of the secret notes, but it gives me the special charm, which permanently boosts daily luck. Back on the farm, I tried my best at setting up a mushroom log farm. I heard if you set mushroom logs around mystic trees, it gives you purple mushrooms, which if you dehydrate will give you lots of profits. So fingers crossed this somewhat works. Ironically, the next raccoon quest needed dried purple mushrooms. How did you know, Mr. Raccoon? How did you know? Cookie and I took a ride through the rain the following day because I had to intrude on Alex's morning to give him a birthday present. Afterwards, I patched up some empty spots in the crop fields with blueberry seeds I had bought from Pierre. Then I popped by Clint's to get an upgrade on my pickaxe, all before putting my axe to work in the cindersap forest. I needed the materials, and I didn't mind the foraging XP that was going towards my next mastery level either. The materials actually went towards more kegs, and I was that much closer to a full shed. Despite being a gorgeous day in the valley, I couldn't quite say the same about Ginger Island. The YouTuber luck was back again though. Seriously, get a load of this. Okay, so I dig up an artifact spot, and wow, there's a snake spine. I need 2 of them for Professor Snail, and they're usually pretty elusive. I find another artifact spot at the end of the beach, and boom, 2 snake spines in one day. What are the chances? I actually had a snake skull in my inventory, so I got to finish the snake display for the professor then and there. And since I got a mango tree sapling as a reward, I thought I'd plant it down on the island farm. And afterwards I got a couple of golden walnuts from secret notes I'd found on the island. To round out the day, I was back at home when I remembered that we could place floorings under buildings now. So that's exactly what I did for the Junimo huts. I began day 155 waiting for our, how shall I say it, fond acquaintance Clint to open up the shop. That's right, I'm holding a grudge against him simply because I can. He did hand over my brand new iridium pickaxe and I swapped it out for an iridium axe upgrade. I did this before heading back over to Ginger Island. Yes, I am in the dig site, but not for the reason we all want it to be. I'm searching for a pair of fossilized ribs, but unfortunately I couldn't find any, so instead I retired to the volcano dungeon for the day. Only things to note were my very first gold mystery boxes, and a bunch of valuable resources I collected along the way. With starfruit ripe and ready for harvest, it was no surprise that a lot of today was spent dealing with that very task. I have to say though, all of this starfruit wine has been doing wonders for my wallet. Throw a quick strawberry harvest from the greenhouse in there, and you pretty much have the whole day covered. So I think it's best if we move on to the next day. The rain, it seemed, had followed me across the GMC to the valley. Watching a movie snuggled up in bed with Haley sounded really good right now actually. But unfortunately I had things to do, like swapping out my iridium axe for a hoe upgrade over at Clint's, commissioning a slime hutch to be built on my farm, courtesy of Robin's services, giving Sam a cactus fruit for his birthday, and patching up a few more patches in the crop fields with more blueberries. As the afternoon rolled around, I worked away in the downpour connecting up pathways around the farm. Now that I knew where the slime hutch was going, it felt really good to finally have that all connected. I thought my eyes had deceived me this morning, but no, the green rain phenomenon had returned to the valley once again. Quick side note, my mushroom logs did not produce purple mushrooms like I thought they would, so I moved them closer. Let's hope that changes things. As for how I spent this peculiar day, well, it was to my understanding that the Statue of Blessings required a hefty amount of crafting materials, as in it needs 999 sap, 999 stone, 999 fiber, and 333 moss. And what better time to collect fiber and moss than when there is an abundance of it around the valley. So yeah, this is what I did all day. Not to worry, all traces of green rain had disappeared by the next day. Marlon paid a visit to the farm this morning to give me a green slime egg, and to joke about how he got his eye patch. Thanks, I guess. Cookie and I rode into town to get my iridium pick. Oh, damn it, Clint, do your job, man! It's totally not my fault for forgetting he takes a day off. Cookie and I rode up to Robin's, where I commissioned another pond for the farm. And while I was there, I gave Demetrius a strawberry for his birthday. That afternoon, I got myself prepped for the trout derby kicking off tomorrow. With the knowledge I now have about how it works, I got everything I needed for success. And a lot of dressed spinner bobbers. I should also say that I made the Statue of Blessings finally. And a quick side note, I think Midnight tried to pounce at me. That was kind of cute actually. I was so prepared for the derby that I even tried putting up a tent in the Cindersap forest for a head start tomorrow. But it wouldn't let me, so whoever told me that in the comments section of the last video, you were wrong! Not to worry though, having slept in the tent at the bottom of the farm, I had a pretty good start to the derby anyway. Now, let's peep the setup. We know about the absurd amount of dressed spinner bobbers. However, this thing next to me is called the bait maker. When I put a rainbow trout into it, I get rainbow trout bait, which will increase my chance of catching more rainbow trout. I'll tell you what, this thing came in clutch. By 2 PM, I had already tripled the amount of golden tags I got last year. And yes, a lot of you let me know in the comments in the last video that the derby does in fact go the whole day, not just until 2 PM. I felt like a bit of a silly goof, but nonetheless, we press on. I kept this going until the evening when I decided to retire with a solid 15 golden tags. I was very happy to receive all of my goodies from the derby tent that night, including a mounted trout that I placed right above our bed in the farmhouse. We are now forever being watched over. Safe to say I was all trout derbied out after yesterday. I used the Statue of Blessings for the first time today. I got a little luck blessing. Cookie and I set off into town this morning so that I could donate an artifact to the museum, and to pick up my new iridium hoe from Clint's, just to swap it out for a watering can upgrade. I won't lie, the rest of the day consisted of fishing out the oysters from my pond, replacing them with a slime jack, and trying to fish up a sturgeon. I got another star drop tea by the way, and also a golden tag. Interesting to know that the derby spans across to the mountain lake. Today was the dwarf's birthday. Last night I fished up a lava eel from the mines, and for his birthday I handed that over along with a star drop tea. He's always a bit of a tricky fellow to get to max hearts, so it was worth using the tea for. I didn't quite manage to catch a sturgeon yesterday, so I took some time to hook one. I needed it for the other fish pond. My mushroom logs had produced purple mushrooms this time. I must have done something right then. Either way, I was sick of looking out over a dull looking farm. The decorator inside of me was screaming, and let's be fair, Haley really did deserve to be living on a farm that met her expectations. And as the night rolled around, I finally got some use out of my Junimo catalogue. Some of these decorations were a perfect fit for the farm. The purple mushrooms I had been dehydrating finished overnight, and along with some white algae, I completed yet another raccoon fetch quest. I got a little raccoon head as a reward. Before I could get back to decorating, however, I had a round of starfruit wine to collect up from my sheds. I sold them off to Pierre because I wanted to purchase the furniture catalogue from Robbins, along with all of her crafting recipes. I felt very confident to continue decorating now. The whole of day 164 was weirdly centered around Willy, except when I went to pick up my watering can from Clint. But it was his birthday, so I dropped off a diamond for him, and I spent the day down in the mines, collecting bug meat for a special quest I had picked up this morning. You won't believe this either, but I got my first ancient seed! It only took 164 days. Another thing that took 164 days was the slime monster slayer goal. By the time night had rolled around, I had farmed enough bug meat for Willy. I dropped by the Adventurers Guild to pick up the slime charmer ring, and I dropped off the bug meat outside Willy's shop. The next day began with a bit of farm planning. I figured my old animal area could be my future golden clock / obelisk area, so I mapped out where they'd go with stone flooring. Cookie and I rode into town afterwards, where I paid Marcelo a visit. He had part 2 of the Way of the Wind, and I feel a little faster already. That ancient seed I got yesterday went straight to the museum. The prize machine gave me another dehydrator. I saw what all that bug meat went towards. Good God, what is that smell? And I said goodbye to Cookie for a while as I took a boat across to Ginger Island. Over here I popped down my first plantable ancient seed. 5 gold quality ancient fruits are like the only thing left I need for the missing bundle, so it's good to have that in place. And up at the forge I combined the slime charmer ring with the burglar's ring. I kinda just chopped down trees and mooched around the farm back in the valley to close out the day. Some odd jobs helped me get going this morning, including cracking open my first golden coconut thanks to Clint whacking it with a hammer, and finally filling up my second shed with the last remaining kegs it needed. My afternoon was then taken up with a trip to the island to trade some coconuts with the island trader for a couple more golden coconuts. These I took back to Clint with fingers crossed, and thank goodness I got the fossilized skull. I made a decision afterwards. Yes, I gave up the mushroom logs. I gave them up faster than I gave up going to the gym as my New Year's resolution. I did tap the mystic trees, however. I'll need the mystic syrup later on, but I just couldn't get behind the mushroom log hype. Maybe you can let me know in the comments what I was doing wrong and I'll try again next time. All I can say that happened on day 167 was I built a jade shed, I smelted quartz, I handed over the fossilized skull to Professor Snail, and I ran through the volcano dungeon for resources. Day 168, on the other hand, marks the end of another season, and to see out the summer season, I used the island warp totem I got ages ago, so I could trade some dragon teeth with the island trader for a banana tree sapling. I planted that bad boy right next to the mango tree. Afterwards, I moped around the farm, working on some pathing between the fish ponds and the crop field, illuminating the place up a bit with some torches, and adding some cool pathing around the fish ponds. Of course, it wouldn't be the end of summer without the famous moonlight jellies. So all I ask is that you please sit back and relax with Haley and I as we spoil our ears with musical transcendence. What better way to start the fall season than with a star drop? That's right, we are back in my favourite season. Probably to no one's surprise that today was very similar to the start of the previous seasons. The summer crops were a success, and I'm sure the fall crops will follow suit. Fall crops weren't the only thing being planted today. Another round of starfruit was ready for harvest on the island farm. This time I popped down a mix of speed grow into the soil, so now instead of 13 days, the starfruit would grow in 9. This was of course immediately followed by kicking it all back at home. I kicked off the next day checking in with our raccoon friend. He wanted me to fetch him broccoli juice and pickled bok choy. Yummy. So I bought some extra broccoli seeds from his wife just in case. I then found Penny hanging out in the museum, so I handed her a birthday gift before Jazz and Vincent got there for their tutoring. Just to the north of town where the lake meets the river, I managed to fish up the 4th legendary fish, the angler. You may have noticed that yesterday I got another mastery level while harvesting my starfruit, so I had a decision to make between mining mastery and combat mastery. Then I ended up picking combat mastery, which gives me 2 new crafting recipes for an anvil and a mini forge, and the ability to equip trinkets. You'll see what they look like very soon. And to wrap up the day, I fished up a midnight carp under the stars, all to add to my fishing collection. I was back to the skull caverns today, grinding for some of those juicy materials. I managed to get my first trinket today. It's called a fairy box, and I get a little fairy that follows me around healing me. I mean, hey, how cool is that? I managed to tick off another monster slayer goal, and I made it back to my bed that night just in the nick of time. I found a meteor on my farm this morning. Luckily no animals were caught underneath it. The rush of skull cavern diving was gone today. It was instead replaced with things like donating artifacts and making my slime hutch area look nice. You may notice the slime hutch is a lot smaller after the update, and that's simply because it is. Look at the cute itty bitty little slime hutch. It took up the rest of the day doing it up, but I now had a good place for my lightning rods and a cool space for my anvil and mini forge. These things were not cheap to craft, but now I have my own at-home forge. The anvil, I'll figure that out later. The morning of day 173 was spent giving my slime jacks some bug meat, gifting Elliot a duck feather for his birthday, and collecting mystic syrup from my mystic trees. Wait, hold up. They're worth 1,000 gold each? Does anyone smell that? Does that smell like profits? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but for now I'll just hold on to them. Except one that I used for making a treasure totem. I used this on Ginger Island. I totally blew it. I didn't realize I picked a horrible spot to use it on, but I got the fossilized ribs nonetheless, and that's all that matters. Which meant I was able to finally finish off the Professor's fossil exhibition. For my efforts, I got the crafting recipe for an ostrich incubator and some golden walnuts. I decided that since I was around on the island, I might as well do a run through the volcano dungeon. One thing to note is I got another trinket, the parrot egg, which summons a parrot who grants a low chance of finding gold when I slay enemies. Not a lot was happening the following day. I did touch up a bit more of the farm with my signature decorated touch, and I added a little beehive area that night just below the greenhouse. I thought it was a nice way to fill in some empty land. After filling in more grass and planting some broccoli seeds down on the farm, I decided to take my business to the island of Ginger. That's right, it's another episode of Panning with Poxio! Despite my best efforts today, for the first time in this video, I was unsuccessful in my panning endeavors. I know. Even though it was a good luck day, the panning spots just weren't popping up for me today. Although I believe I have neglected to tell you something about panning in the 1.6 update. The more you upgrade your pan, the higher the chance you have of chaining panning spots together. It's very satisfying to get like 4 in a row. It's always a great start to the day when I get to gather up a round of starfruit wine, and imagine Lewis trying to carry 276 bottles of wine in the middle of the night. Cookie and I paid a visit to Robin to get an upgrade on my jadestone shed. I call it that because I'm going to eventually fill it with crystallariums that produce jadestone. And with an upgrade on the way, I concluded it needed to look the part. So I put my decorator hat back on and to work I went. It didn't need much attention, but a little goes a long way. I made a few solar panels for it too, since crystallariums need batteries to craft. A few chores needed attending to this morning. Sometimes it's the little things in Stardew Valley that make it such a great game. The starfruit wine profits had recently put my bank account into a very good place, so I wasn't too worried about erecting 2 brand new obelisks for the farm. The first was the earth obelisk, closely followed by the water obelisk. Between them I spent a cool 1 million gold, but I did need them. And let's be honest, that is nothing compared to what the golden clock costs. Over in town I picked up the special quest, a curious substance, since I hadn't picked one up from the board in a while. But that would have to wait for now because it was all about the starfruit this morning. After getting more seeds from Sandy, harvesting it all, replanting the seeds, and dumping it all safely into my kegs, I felt content spending even more of my wine money on a 3rd farmhouse upgrade. It wasn't until the next day that I plundered the mines in search of ectoplasm for Magnus's special quest. I should note I did give Jodie a present for her birthday, but with the fragrance of Monster Musk number 5 wafting through the mines today, it was only a matter of time before I got a ghost to drop what I needed. It took most of the day, but I got what I was looking for late into the evening, and Magnus was very pleased to receive the ectoplasm that night. I'm starting to form quite a nice morning routine now. I think I've set everything up quite nicely, that I can just jump on Cookie and do the rounds of the farm. With the morning rounds out of the way, I popped by the prize machine and got some mystery boxes, before getting cozy at the pier with my 4 fish smokers behind me. You could say I was in doubt, and what does one do when one is in one's doubt? That's right, fish it out. I walked right past Pierre this morning because his daughter was celebrating a birthday. I gave Abigail a puffer fish and a spare Stardrop tea I had. Back on the farm, I replaced a few harvested crops with more fall seeds, and I used some fairy dust I had acquired recently to make pickled bok choy and broccoli juice. Disgusting, I know. However, not for our raccoon family. I ticked off another quest and got some fairy dust back. But it's hard to keep me away from that sweet smell of the ocean. For the 2nd day in a row, I wrapped up the day smoking that good fish as I caught them, obviously. When I got home that night, I dumped them all into the shipping bin. And hey, 32 grand ain't too shabby. After a morning spent doing the rounds again on the farm, taking care of my many bits and bobs, I got a 2nd barn commissioned for the farm. You may be wondering why that is. Well, I'll tell you. Starfruit wine is great, but I wanted a couple of extra sorta passive income schemes, one of them being goat cheese. If I fill a barn full of goats and feed them animal crackers, I can turn their large milk into goat cheese. The gold cheese I'll age in casks down in my basement, and that's at least an extra 100 grand a week. I hear what you're saying though, I could just overhaul the starfruit or go the truffle oil route, but that's no fun. I've been there, I've done that, plus I want to make good use of the new animal crackers. Anyway, I've been sprucing up the animal area while I've been ranting, and someone please send help. I think I broke my goat. I caught myself bussing into the desert the next day. It was Sandy's birthday and I wanted to give her a birthday gift. It also seems my Junimos have been hard at work picking crops for me. Don't worry, they get paid in exposure. Most of the day was spent in my slime hutch, setting up the perfect breeding ground for my slimes. If you've seen my other Stardew series, it's pretty much the same setup. Why try to fix it if it ain't broke, you know what I mean? So the 16th of fall is Valley Fair Day, and after experiencing the heartbreak that was squandering my reigning egg hunt champion title to the likes of Abigail, the Valley Fair, quite frankly, is all I have left. So I went hard this year on the Grange display, showing off the very best from the Meadowlands farm. It paid off because I kept that title and I was very relieved. I then thought it would be funny to go and gamble all of the star tokens I had until I lost it all, and for the love of all that is good in this world, I did not lose a single time on my life. This is dead true. In fact, I won so many times on green that I actually maxed out my star tokens at 9,999. I thought I'd better leave just in case that wealth got to my head. Speaking of wealth, I was ecstatic to see another round of starfruit wine ready to be collected. That will make a nice little addition to my wallet overnight. Cookie and I then made our way over to Clint's with a bunch of gold mystery boxes. I had my fingers crossed that just one of them would give me an auto petter for the soon-to-be goat barn, but it seems I had used up all of my luck at the fair yesterday, so no auto petter this time. I can't say much else happened for the rest of the day, so we might as well carry on to day 186. 6. After popping by Marnie's to hand her a rabbit's foot for her birthday, I commissioned a big farm upgrade from Robin and spent the day figuring out the best cask setup in the basement. All up, I managed to squeeze about 117 casks in, which I know isn't quite the maximum, but my brain was hurting and it wasn't my main money source anyway, so I was happy with whatever I could get. I ran into Marnie on my doorstep this morning. She had braved the rain to ask me for a cave carrot. I won't lie, you could have just mailed that to me, but hey, I'll add it to the backlog of fetch quests I haven't even started. Most of today was spent with another harvest of starfruit. Is that another mastery level you see before your very eyes? I think it is. So after dumping all the starfruit back into my kegs, I raced off to the mastery cave. It was a pretty easy choice to make. Mining was the final skill to claim mastery in. Torches lit up across all 5 of the plaques, and I could feel Grandpa patting my shoulder. You know, I did think it was a bit chilly in here. Mining Mastery gives me 2 more crafting recipes. The Statue of the Dwarf King, which gives me the choice between 2 mining related powers each day, the Heavy Furnace recipe, and the ability for gem bearing rocks to grant twice the gems when mined. Also, I clicked on the Junimo in the menu and something happened, so that's fun. Put simply, crafting the Statue of the Dwarf King was costly, taking 20 iridium bars. But I did have some to spare, and it looked good next to my Statue of Blessings. The powers you can get are pretty good too. Today consisted of getting the final barn upgrade commission from our good friend Robin, incubating a few slime eggs in the slime hutch, and watching the sun set while I made goat cheese. I'm serious, I didn't have anything better to do. I had a panic because I thought I actually wouldn't be able to give it to Robin today, considering I had her slogging away on the farm on her birthday. But I was very glad to see that I could. I decided a good use of my time could be spent diving through the skull caverns for materials, so that's what I did. Between you and me, my cavern setup was pretty gnarly. I had the fairy box trinket for healing, my Dwarf King statue gave me immunity to bombs for the day, and the Blessing statue gave me an increased crit chance boost. I had some good old-fashioned fun today. As I awoke the next morning, I activated the Statue of Blessings, as I usually do, and I got a new blessing I hadn't seen before called Blessing of the Butterfly. And after quickly seeing to my tasks around the farm, Cookie and I set out into the valley to find this prismatic butterfly. Quick side note, I lost one of my fish smokers to the ocean. It was very sad. But anyway, we eventually found the butterfly chilling in the Cindersap forest. And for finding this beautiful butterfly, I got just over 25,000 gold and a prismatic shard. That was well worth the pursuit, I'd say. On the other hand, I got absolutely scammed after this. Remember in the last video how I was like, I found this passageway in the quarry mine I'd never seen before. But I did notice a blocked off path to the side that I've never seen before. Well, I went to check it out, and there's nothing here. What was the point? Heading into the slime hutch this morning, I saw that I had my first slimes. I thought I'd use up the rest of my slime eggs and give them some friends. The next raccoon quest was pretty simple actually. All they wanted were 5 frozen geodes and 20 bug meat. As a reward, I got a jungle tank. I am very curious to see what I can do with this thing. Thanks to the animal catalog, I was able to purchase animals without Marnie being there. Someone tell Clint he should do the same damn thing. And she'll be glad I did because I purchased 12 goats. Promptly named Barry, Carrie, Parry, Nary, Gary, Harry, Jerry, Wary, Mary, Terry, Zary, and Quarry. Afterwards, I paid a visit to the quarry because I wanted to throw down some mega bombs to see what would happen. Turns out it was very satisfying. And around the day off, I added some more crystallariums to the Jadestone shed. Now that I had my barn full of goats, I handed out all 9 animal crackers I had collected thus far. I'll need 3 more, but that'll do for now. Today marked George's birthday, so I gave him one of his favourites, a leek. Afterwards, I popped by Robin's place where she taught me how to make flute and drum blocks. However, a certain lack of fibre made it hard to craft some, so I spent the rest of the day farming level 80 in the mines for fibre. Look, the Statue of Blessings really did a number on my fibre. I need more, okay? Not to worry though, because on the next day I had everything to craft 5 of them, which helped me charm a mermaid into handing over some golden walnuts. It was a good luck day, and being on Ginger Island made it pretty impossible to look past the dig site, so the dig site is where I stayed. For another episode of Panning with Poxio! we had to make up for last episode. How dare I not get any rings? So armed with a lucky lunch, I got to work. Not only did I pan up lucky ring number 5, but I doubled it just for good fun and got number 6 while I was at it. I'm gonna say the fairy gave me a little extra luck today. Day 194 is probably one of the most ridiculous days I've ever experienced. And to be frank, it was my own fault. Believe me when I say I was meant to go and put a shirt I panned up yesterday into my drawers. But I just walked into my house and went straight to sleep.
Huh?
I have it on record that in this moment I said, "What the f am I doing? Oh my god, I just went to bed by accident." What's even funnier is overnight we got our baby boy. I called him Teddy. The shirt was put away just a day later. Most of today was spent with odd jobs, collecting and shipping away another round of starfruit wine, decorating the pet area with a dog house and a cat tree, repopulating the animal area with more grass, and attending the Spirits Eve festival. This year the maze had changed, but it was quite fun to figure out a new maze. The reward for making it to the end this year was a prize ticket. And with that, here we are on the final day of fall. If I'm being honest, starfruit harvesting and dumping it all into kegs took up majority of the day. Not to mention I got to expand the ancient fruit a wee bit too. Slow and steady wins the race, it seems. There's only a few more days left in this video, so I think we should just leave it here. I don't want the valley to be all cold and wintry anyway, so let's just leave it. Oh wow, he didn't cut it. You know what, I actually really hate it when editing Poxil cut. The winter seeds and powder melon seeds left over from the last winter were once again the only things I could grow in the frosty season. At least it's something though. It didn't take me long to get them planted down, so I made it my mission today to finish the fishing collection. There were 3 fish I had left to catch. The first was a perch that I caught up at the mountain lake. The second was a lingcod. I caught this feisty lad down in the river. And last but not least was the beast we like to call the glacier fish. The 5th and final legendary fish. This sucker put up quite the fight. Honestly, I had an easier time catching the legend way back in spring, but eventually I reeled it in, and that was the first of many tasks to tick off for perfection. Day 198 began with another star drop, my reward for collecting every fish. I then tried completing a help wanted quest for Willy, which was to catch 4 perch, because I was told it would give me a prize ticket, only it didn't. So whoever told me that is a big old. Day 199 was Linus's birthday, so I paid him a visit to his tent to hand over a coconut and a spare star drop tea I had for those juicy friendship points. And I actually cannot believe it, but here we are on day 200. As is tradition in all of my 100 days videos, I take the final day off to spend relaxing and recuperating in the spa. The last 100 days were nothing short of crazy. But let's be real, I wouldn't expect anything less. We managed to become a master of all 5 skills. We got married to our sweetheart Haley, we got to explore a brand new festival, and don't even get me started on panning with Poxil. I have to say we are running full steam ahead towards perfection, but unfortunately for that my friends, you're just gonna have to wait for what I hope will be the thrilling conclusion to our 1.6 adventure. For now, I think I'm just gonna stay here a while and maybe sip away on a star drop tea, just to see what all the fuss is about. So there you have it. That is another 100 days of Stardew Valley 1.6 done and dusted. I managed to get a screenshot of the farm at the end of the fall season. Compared to the end of the first video, we have made excellent strides towards a stunning looking farm. That being said, if you are enjoying the 1.6 series, then please don't forget to leave a like on the video and to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It does help me out a lot. And there's not much else to say except you're all wonderful people, so have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching!